Hey, what is up guys? Guitar Rock here, welcome back to another Brave 9 video. I made a mistake, they reset literally everything. So, I was doing co-op raids in easy. And I'm only getting like one bloody soldier, shit. So hopefully, you know, I'm going to make this video, I'm going to include this in this video as well so you guys are aware. The server merge basically resets everything, like everything. So make sure you guys change to hard difficulty. I hope that I'll remember it tomorrow. Okay, let's jump into the spell card system. So for those of you who are not aware, you might be new, there's a notice right here saying that you will be getting 4,000 stained ink currency to be able to purchase cards. Now this can be used to purchase the spell cards or you can use to upgrade them. So to purchase a spell card, you will need 2,000 of this. So you can actually buy 2 cards without using diamonds at all if you just claim this in your inventory. So this will be available till March 18th. So yeah, make sure you guys log in as soon as you can. I know there's some players having difficulty, they can't log in etc. So let's jump into the card system. I'm going to briefly explain how it works. It's very important for you guys to understand this. Alright, so let's talk about this card, Chasing Falcon. First thing you need to notice is the turn. Alright, it will activate during the 5th turn, as you can see right here. Now I know some of you guys might be very confused coming into this card system. The card system, you cannot control when to activate them during the battle. So each of them will have their own individual turn when it will activate in battle. Like this card will start 5 turn, this card will start on the 1st turn, immediately during battle, etc. So let's talk about the Chasing Falcon. The range is gonna differ. Some of it applies to enemy, some of it applies to ally, some of it applies to magician, warriors, etc. Now when you level up or upgrade the card, now let's say this is level 1, if I upgrade this card to level 3, now you can see I have one more option, enemy supporter. So it's not both of these, you have to choose which one you want to affect, either the enemy magician or enemy supporter, or at least that's what I've been told. And of course if you go further to level 5, you can see enemy warrior with the earliest attack order. So what is this Falcon doing? It concentrates ally attacks to the target with Falcon effect etc. 12 turns. So this effect will last for 12 turns. Some cards have very short effect turn. For example, this card. Alright, it only lasts for 3 turns at the 8th turn. So this duration is very crucial. You need to plan and make sure that everything goes according in your favor so that you are able to utilize this card within these 3 turns. Or else the card effect literally does nothing. So that is very important. You need to know that when you use the card. So let me show you guys an example for Chasing Falcon. Okay, so my Falcon card will apply Concentrated Fire to enemy's first magician to move. So you can see right here how many turns more it requires. So at 5th turn, it will activate because Falcon is the first enemy magician to move. So therefore I apply Concentrated Fire, my Vals was able to go in and do a quad kill. Alright, so that's how you want to utilize the card. You do not control any of the cards that you own during the battle, it's all preset at the beginning. You need to understand your own formation. You need to know what comp you're going to face against. It's really complicated. So let's dive in. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview on what I think of the current cards in general. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys my quick overview of all the cards on what I think so far, having to fight them in the battle. Now, it's quite complicated to look at the card and say this is good or this is bad. But if we look at level 1, it's much easier to see which would be a better fit for most players. If you are a free-to-play, right? If you are a free-to-play, I think this is a very, very good card right here. This one is very good because it's super usable at level 1. Alright, it's very good at level 1. Before 5th turn starts, so it takes 5 turns to activate this. It will basically target the enemy magician with a Concentrated Fire. Now a lot of players have been trying to counter this by putting a Helga turn 1 or something. It might be doable, but then again, if you counter specifically this Falcon card, what if you fight against players that don't use this Falcon card? What if they use 2 other combinations? Then you get screwed. So at the end of the day, you can't really counter one card specifically. But this is a very good card. If you guys have no idea what to get, I would say this one is a pretty good one. It applies a specific like Concentrated Fire to the magician with the earliest order. So Charming Sirens is also good, but I feel like this card is only good if it works according to your team. The thing is, before 5th turn starts, so it's sort of, and this will only apply to the enemy warrior. So you can't delay this too much because it will only last for 4 turns. 7, 8, 9, you will get the charm on the enemy warrior. So assuming the enemy is moving within that turn. So if you delay, if you use your Archon and you use this, it will not work that well because you probably won't, the enemy probably will not move within this 4 turn of charm. So it's quite hard to get this to work unless you use a Venaka comp. Or if you are willing to bet it, this will work better in a defense team. I would say in defense team this works pretty well. So far I've fought against a lot of players that have this specific Charming Sirens card and they seem to counter me a lot. So this is a good card mostly for defense, but in COR comp I don't think it works that well. Alright, let's talk about Bloodthirsty Orochi. I think this is probably one of the, I would say, underrated. I think this is really good, and of course I need to test this further in the future. But this is direct DOT damage. Direct DOT damage. This is not just DOT. The downside is you cannot crit from the DOT, but the advantage is it will always deal current HP every turn times 50% DOT damage. Now this is going to counter a lot of things, like for example Seer, or some tanky units like Mamone maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is quite crazy. And if you are struggling to get rid of Seer round 1, I think this is going to be a very good card for that specifically. Of course, it looks really niche, but it does apply this direct DOT to every single enemy in that lane, in the upper lane. So to counter this, unless you put like only your Mamone in the upper lane or something in the upper lane, then yeah, that will counter this. But I think this is going to be good to deal with some Seer that moves first in round 1 in Guild Wars. I think this is a good card to counter that. Protective Aegis. Now this card, in my opinion, it suffers from a lot of things. It's very inconsistent. So it will only activate at 14th turn, at the 14th turn, and during the 14th turn, it will last for 8 turns. So what it does is all your allies in the upper lane have AoE absorption. The thing is, you are assuming that none of your allies will die. But if your allies start dying, you might not be able to reach this 14th turn, right? And enemy Natus or enemy Velfen will move before this 14th turn starts. So that's the thing, it's very dependent on who you face. I think it can work if you're willing to like have good taunts in your formation. You have like Seer, for example, if you have maybe Mamone with Albion. From what I see at level 1, I don't think this is that good. I don't think this is that good, unless you are willing to upgrade the skill level. Of course, we'll need to test further. But yeah, every single ally will get AoE absorption effect. Alright, let's talk about Revenging Rakshasa. This one is not bad, I feel. Alright. And this particular card is going to bring back a new meta. Alright. It's going to apply to one of your supporter. Give your supporter an ability to have fixed damage counter. So this is very good for Walia. Any Walia abusers in the chat? This will bring Walia back in the meta. If you want to use Walia, because Walia is the only supporter that can taunt, right? Walia is the only supporter that can taunt. So if you want to use this early, this one will work very well with Walia. But, of course, you can't use this at level 1 if you want to buff your defender with fixed damage counter. So, if you go later on, right? Maybe in level 5 onwards, then you can start seeing this will start applying to defenders. So it is not that good early on because the only character that can utilize this is Walia. Literally the only character that can utilize this is Walia. But once you go to level 3, Magician can receive this as well. So that's when you can do Albion, Velter for example, right? And then to level 5, Defender can receive this. Imagine Grand Hilde having this. Imagine Grand Hilde having a fixed counter damage. Like a fixed counter damage for 6 turns. That Grand is gonna be so broken. How about John? John doesn't give himself taunt, right? John gives another unit taunt if I'm not mistaken. Alright, Chaotic Nightmare, let's go. What is this? I think this might be the least useful cards of all. I don't think I like this card that much. In my opinion, I don't think this is a card that... I think most players will avoid this card. I don't see a situation where we can benefit from this right now. Number 1, it starts at 5th turn. Okay. It doesn't start immediately on 1st turn, it starts on 5th turn. Number 2, what it does is it reduces defense and it boosts incoming damage. There might be a chance where if you delay to 5th turn, you could probably use your Alec to defeat Seer since you get this incoming damage plus 200%, so your Alec can deal more damage. But yeah, I would rather use something like this, right, to basically make my warrior move twice. So I don't think this is that good overall. Yeah, I think this is a very underwhelming card. I'm gonna say skip this for now, but I think most players will skip this anyways. Defense minus 50% is okay, but in the current meta, like 100% defense is no longer a thing with Celia. So I don't see why you would want this, right? I would rather use a Celia. Alright, this one is yeah, this is the very controversial card, I would say. A lot of players have been saying that this is very good. I don't think this is that good. Especially at a low skill level, because what it does is it will deal a direct damage to enemy warrior with the earliest attack order. So at level 1, you can deal with enemy warrior, no problem, right? It's good against certain enemies. The thing is, if enemy is using Venaka comp, right? You might be able to take care of their Alec, you might be able to take care of their Vals. That's fine, but they can just modify and put something like Sigmund first, or they can just put Catapult Geyser first just to counter you. And in, for example, in Seoul comp or in non-Venaka forms, right? This is not that good because Alec and Vals, they are two of the most squishiest warrior ever. And to waste this to just kill them, I think it's a big waste. But once it goes to level, let's say level 3, and then level 5, you can start killing defenders. This is where I think it's going to be more useful to get rid of enemies Grand from the taunt or enemy Mamone. I think that's where the value comes. But yeah, we're gonna see how it works for now. For sure, a lot of players have been telling me this is very good because they picked this. But I think with time, players are going to realize this is not that strong at level 1 comparatively to other cards that we have the options or access to right now. Alright, consecutive Sleeve Fit. Oh yeah, the thing is also, this one, it only activates at 10th turn. So if the enemy warrior already hits you, let's say the enemy Alec already hits you, and you kill him afterwards, it's not such a big deal because he already moved. So yeah, at 10th turn, that's also the downside. I'll prefer this to move earlier, and of course you get to unlock that later on. Alright, so looking at the consecutive Sleeve Fit, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. So this one will apply to one ally warrior with the earliest attack order, and it only applies it for 3 turns. At level 1, this is really hard to use. It's really hard to use. This will only activate on the 8th turn. How do you delay your warrior to be like 8th turn? Unless you use like 7 magicians and 5 magicians and 2 supporters or something, and then your warriors at 8th turn. It's really hard to utilize this one. But of course, as the level goes up, right? You can see at level 5, at level 6 it becomes 7th turn. Level 7 it becomes 6th turn. That is when you can start seeing more usability in this card. The problem with this card that a lot of players don't think of, right? A lot of players have been thinking of using this card because it's so good. This card gets countered very hard by this card right here. Now why is that? Because if you think about it, let's say you have an Alec that gets to move twice. Enemy has this card, your Alec will move twice and kill your own teammates double the amount of time. So 6 of your allies will die if the enemy has this. So you might think this is very good, but if the enemy has this, you're going to end up destroying your team faster than you think. So based on my experience in fighting against enemies that use the Charming Sirens, I think you have to be really careful with this card, especially when it's your warrior. So once it goes later to Defender or even Magician, that is when it starts to see more value, I think. Magicians like Velfen moving twice or Livia moving twice, I think that's the true value right there. But for Warrior, I think they can get destroyed by Charming Sirens easily for now. Alright, so let's talk about the Howling Direwolf. Okay, I like this one a lot. I actually like this one a lot because number 1 is first turn before starts. It starts at the beginning. Number 2, it reduces attack 150%, crit damage by 600%. Okay, I did mention about this as well, right? At level 1, it doesn't counter the consecutive slide feed, but at level 4 and level 5, it starts countering this card. You might be thinking, okay, my Alec or Vals can move twice. So what? Because if the enemy has this card, they're going to reduce your attack minus 150%, and they're going to reduce your crit damage by 600%. Your Alec and Vals is not going to do shit. They are going to hit twice, and they're going to do no damage. So this card counters this card only if you go to level, I think at least level 4 and above, because you get 12 turns. The thing is, this card is really broken on Guild Wars. It's really broken on Guild Wars. Because in Guild Wars, if you have this enemy that tries to hit you, they won't do anything. The only unit right now that doesn't get affected by these stats is Sigmund, right? Because Sigmund's attack scales off HP. But right now, this attack and crit damage reduction, it destroys a lot of warriors. It just destroys a lot of warriors. So I think this is a very strong card for Guild Wars. Especially the top guilds, you're going to see them use this a lot. And you're going to need to figure out how to... The only way that you can beat them is you don't put anything in your upper lane, or just try and figure out a different way around. Alright, let's talk about Coiling Viper. I did fought against this guy just now. I did fought against a few players that uses this. It's okay, it's not too bad. Enemies deploy in the upper lane, so they reduce their range to 1 tile. The thing is, I would rather use this one so that I can have AoE absorption rather than reducing their tile. I don't know. Because the reduce their tile is specific to these 8 turns, 3rd turn starts. I guess this is very good in the current meta right now. It does helps a lot. It counters Alec and Vals in the current meta. I'm gonna say in the meta right now, if Venaka is the current meta, right? This card counters Venaka meta right now at level 1. So you don't have to bother about going to a high skill level. The only way that they can counter you is to place their Venaka in the middle or in the bottom lane. And lastly, the Blue Light Wisp. So at level 1, this one is really bad. But once you go to level 2, I mean sorry, not level 2, I think level 3. Level 3 or level 5, this is where you start seeing the increase of this particular one. But it's still not bad actually. So what will happen is at 6th turn, your defender, your ally defender, remember it only affects defender at level 1, will pass on to the next ally to hopefully move within that 4 turns. So it's very good. In Guild Wars, let's say you want to use Grand to taunt first, and then this Grand will pass on to an Alec. It's really good for that particular reason. But again, it has to be fit in this condition of the 6th turn at beginning, and you only have 4 turns to try to make that work. But it's not too bad of a condition at level 1. I would say this is a really good Guild War counter attacking formation stuff. It's really cancerous. It's really cancerous. But of course, it gets really complicated when you go to higher skill level, because apparently Magician get a higher turn as well. So yeah, that's about it I think. Most of it. If you are not looking at upgrades, I would say just look at what you have right now. Either you're using Venaka or your Archon and decide from there. Alright guys, so that is going to be it for the video. I have plenty of videos coming out soon. We're going to talk about the set effects. We're going to talk about, you know, new Guild Wars, etc. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, turn on the notifications. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.